Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Friday! Yeah! What's going on, all you scallywags, nutmeggers, across the fruited plain, online, on your radio, in your stereo, in your mama house? It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Friday. We got through it. We got through it, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because my wife is going nuts. We're still moving in October, but our plans have shifted. We had an apartment, and then some odd reason that fell through. We got a really, really good look at it. It's too small. It's going to be a cardboard box practically. We might as well pitch a tent right outside WTIC studios. My wife says, just so you're like, we'll sleep in the parking lot because then I could just be in the office whenever I want. We got Joey hanging out with us today. How you doing, sir?
We're good. What's up?
Oh, man, ready to go.
You just sleep in the promotions van.
You know what? I did. I saw that promotions van.
You got cornhole in there. You got your activities. There's a couple tents in there. You'll be golden.
Do you guys have cornhole in the back of the van?
Yeah, so if we're going somewhere, I'll set up cornhole.
No, okay, now that works. I actually kind of dig that.
So the promotions tent's in there, so if it's a nice day, you can put it outside, boom, you got a porch.
That's it. That's all. Saving myself money until we buy a house in Connecticut.
That's it. We're frugal here.
And I don't know what's going on, but I got to say this. John Larson, didn't we have an episode not too long ago? Didn't we have an episode? What in God's name did I witness on the news today? And apparently it made national news. It was on America's Newsroom today. Dana Perino's morning show. Heard it, and Bill Maluzhin were talking about this, and all they could do was shake their head, which is what I did when I saw it.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
Yeah, John, what's all that about? Now, I know what it's really about. If I may, let me help. So what that was about was, hey, Mr. Larson, yes, as a part of your campaign, you're going up against somebody who's fairly younger than you, and you know the big thing is to be outraged about ICE. We're going to need you to go out to this rally in Newington and scream and holler, calling them the Gestapo, and we need you to go out there and also call them Nazis, okay? Because that's what the kids are saying, and if you want to sound like the young people, you have to sound like the young people, okay? All right, now go on out there and give a speech. I know you don't really know what happened to those young men in Newington and where they are, but, you have to sound outraged about things that you don't know.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
Now, listen, avoid anyone asking you if you know where these individuals are and what they are guilty of. Avoid them like the plague. Just be outraged. That's all the kids care about, that you are showing outrage. And you know what? We'll put it on Twitter or the TikTok. Yes, the Chinese one. That's the one. Yes, we'll put you on there, and we will make sure that everybody knows that you are really, really outraged about things you know nothing about. Because that's what the kids do. That's right. That's what the kids do. You don't want to be shown up, okay? You don't want to be shown up. We got younger people running against you. We got Gilchrist, These people are in their 40s. You have to do what the kids do.
But you want to see their heads explode, just say they're wearing masks. They don't want to spread COVID.
Yeah, that's all. They're just screaming. It's hilarious. And you want to hear something great? I've got it on great authority because I heard the audio. Now, I can't play it here for legal reasons. Okay? For legal reasons, I can't play it here. But let me say this. John Larson's office admitted on tape that they don't know anything about the case. His office, and I know they're listening, so I want you to know, we have you on tape. Do you understand that? We have you on tape saying you don't even know what led to the 7 men arrested at the Newington car wash. And yet you've put this guy out on Front Street to be screaming and hollering at the top of his lungs.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America.
You're also admitting on tape that you should know. That it's important that you should know. You guys are out there ahead of your skis. I also know that the talking points is trying to demonize Stephen Miller like you did Elon Musk. This does not work. Stephen Miller is not the president of the United States. He is not in charge of the immigration plan in this country. The president is. And I know you guys are trying to be, new. You're trying to come up with new ideas. But you think that the Elon Musk thing worked because Elon left the White House. Now all of a sudden you think you're going to do that with Stephen Miller. Clearly you guys don't know what you're up against. Clearly. But to know and to have you on tape, to hear your voices say, yeah, we don't know what's going on. We just know that we're upset and we're trying to push back against the Trump administration. That's funny. Oh, and this nonsense, this bull crap that everyone's saying. Well, first they told us they were getting rid of the criminals. Yeah, you had a problem with that too. Let me say 3 words to you. Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia. MS-13, trafficking. We got the guy on tape with 9 people in a cargo van who couldn't speak English, who all put Kilmar, Abrego, Garcia's home as their address in Maryland while they were traveling from Texas and got caught up in Tennessee. Really? You don't care about whether or not they're criminals. And now you're saying that they're just standing outside of a Home Depot, which means what? It means that if they're standing outside of a Home Depot, that they're as innocent as the driven snow? Is that what they are? They're standing outside of a Home Depot. When have you ever allowed them in your house to do any work, landscaping, huh? Any home repair work? Are you hiring them? No. And then it's the best part of it all. I called WFSB and I called WTNH. Guess what they haven't done? They haven't spoken to one of the brothers of one of the folks who were detained. They didn't even know that a brother of one of the detained currently works at the car wash. Mark in West Hartford has already been there to interview them twice. Twice. And nobody at FSB or TNH has been down there. When I told the folks at WFSB that, did you know that one of the detainees' brothers works there? They go, oh, really? What's his name? What do you mean, what's his name? You're reporting on the story. What, I got to farm you news? You're the news. What's going on? By the way, no one in Larson's office has been down there either, or the mayor of Newington. No one's offered any money, any cash, any shelter. Does anybody have a closet or a basement that they could put one of these folks up in? No, they haven't even bothered. Here's why. Because they don't care. They never have cared. They don't give a damn about these names. I called and asked about the kid Kevin from Meriden High School. Huh? Remember him? Hey, you guys got to follow up on his story? No. Why not? Well, the lawyer hasn't contacted us yet. What do you mean the lawyer hasn't contacted you yet? So in order to get a follow-up on a story that you led with, you got to wait for the actual subject to contact you to give you updates? You haven't reached out yet? This was a story you wanted everybody to know about. You haven't picked up the phone and said, hey, counselor, what's the deal on your boy? Nothing? And in order to get the information, here's where it makes it even crazy. In order to get information on the lawyer, send us an email and we'll forward it to you. It's been 4 hours. No email. By the way, that's the way John Larson's office likes to communicate as well. Send us an email request, and then we'll think about coming on to the program. You know what I told them? Pound sand. Never mind, dude. The minute that you tell me to send you an email, I go, yeah, you're not showing up. Who cares? All right, never mind. I never needed you anyway. You guys are jokes. But guess what I found out? What I found out is the greatest thing in the world. Let me set this up for you. You guys know this Gordon Gekko-looking bozo out in California? He's the governor out there, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, he's running around trying to troll the president of the United States because his polling numbers look like crap. I mean, he's actually polling lower than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I know a pile of bricks that's smarter than that woman. But Gavin Newsom, he's been all over the news. He's been everywhere. In fact, he's been in more places on television than he's actually been governing California. Well, he was on a podcast called Pivot. And while he was there, he exposed something. And I think he exposed something so bad, Democrats are going to spend the next week trying to explain it away. Listen closely to Gavin Newsom and why he's concerned about ICE being in Los Angeles and Sacramento and San Francisco and any major city across the USA, and why he is fighting to put a stop to ICE being there. It will shock you that he said it out loud.
In LA, do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake, so we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
I'm sorry, Kevin, what? Everybody knows that ICE is going to be standing outside of where?
In LA, do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake, so we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
So what are you going to do? You're going to fight the president of the United States to keep ICE out of your states. When the midterms come around, ICE will be there to stop whom from voting? Legal citizens who wish to vote will show up in droves, I would assume. But why would there be people who would be deterred by the presence of ICE? I think either he gave up the goods or he gave a pretty good idea to Republicans. I mean, if you ask me, that may have been the dumbest smart thing that Gavin Newsom could have ever done. Joshua was in there. Yeah, Josh, you're right. So he basically admitted illegal aliens are voting in California. I don't know, Josh. You tell me.
In LA, do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake, so we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
It's the best piece of audio. It's 14 seconds long. I mean, it's the 14 seconds that killed his career as a politician. It's over. Done. Finite. Out of here. Bye-bye. So long. I can't stop laughing about it. As soon as I saw it, I went, no, what? Huh? So I'd just like to ask John Larson, and I think it's the question everyone should ask. Hey, John, Are you concerned that ICE is going to show up at polling places and illegals will be afraid to... maybe the outrage is real. Maybe John Larson is concerned that he won't get enough votes.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourself.
Unmask yourselves! And don't show up at the polling places. I've got these two young people, these young whippersnappers, sniping at my ankles. They're sniping at my ankles, and I've got to sound like I care what the young people care about. What is another thing the kids love? Legos? What's the big thing? I've got to learn how to play spades and unos for the black kids. I'm sorry. What am I supposed to do with this? As soon as I saw it, I was like, everybody else was shaking their head. I was looking at it going, come on, man. Really? Like, where was this outrage weeks ago? Even Chris Murphy, who, by the way, congratulations, Chris Murphy. I just heard Chris Murphy was voted Time Magazine's AI 100. Yes, he was. He's considered a influential figure in the Time 100. I read the piece that they did on him. It should have been in the category of complaining, because that's literally what he cited for in there. But even he's not screaming that loud, probably because he's defending transgender school shooters. But, it's different. It's just different. Zach says that John Larson's got to learn how to play CeeLo. Even I don't know how to play that, Zach. I've tried, but I don't know how to play it. I've got to learn. I don't know do you know how to play CeeLo, Joey? Have you ever played it, even for fun?
No.
You haven't tried? Okay, because you're like the worst person I could ask this. All I know is that the dice are usually red, and apparently 7 and 11 are good.
I'm confused now.
I don't know what it is. Some people say it's like playing craps at the casino, but even I don't know how to play that either. Have you ever played that at the casino?
No.
No, okay. But dice isn't my thing. The whole rolling in the dice and people blowing, throw.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
No.
Yeah, maybe John Larson should learn some CeeLo. Play a little bit in the parks with the kids and maybe get that vote against the young kid. Zach says, "Oh my God, I learned that in the 9th grade in Constitution class, but not from black kids." Then you probably learned wrong, Zach. That's probably what happened. We got to take a break. We're going to come back. More news, more views when we return. We'll talk more about this Larson thing. We'll take some phone calls as well. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. We've got Rozan coming up for Ladies' Night, as well as headlines. And, Greg Bugbee of CAES, Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. He's coming with an update with the hydrilla removal in the Connecticut River. You don't want to miss that either, so stick around. We'll be back. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080. And that you can as long as I'm here. It's Reese on the Radio, WTIC NewsTalk 1080. Now, I want you to think about something, folks. I want you to think about this in the scope of news stories that you've heard in the past. And I also want you to think about this in the scope of some of you who do a lot of gig work. So if you're driving in your car right now and you have worked for Uber or Lyft or currently, this is specifically for you. Other people outside of that have used Uber or Lyft, same deal. What has Uber and Lyft done in the past couple of years to ensure rider safety? If you have the app on your phone and you have used it, whether you're a driver or a passenger, they go through a painstaking review for each individual in that exchange. When I order an Uber and someone takes the job, Uber provides me with the make, model, license plate number, and the name of the driver coming to pick me up. They even go so far as an added bonus to tell me the rating of said driver. 5-star, 4-star. How many trips this driver has taken. And more than likely, I would say 9 out of 10 times you've used the app, you've received a driver with a stellar rating. Unless, of course, you have extreme bad luck, you probably will get a rider here and there with maybe 3, maybe 4 stars. And when you did, you were probably a little cautious about your ride. And if you are a driver, it's pretty much the same thing. You get the name of the individual because they're made to when they fill out that form, when they download the app. And guess what? The passenger has a rating as well, also based on tipping and things like that, courtesy, behavior. And the reason why they do that is because in this gig economy, especially this particular model, they want to make sure that the driver and the passenger are both safe. And it is a great model. Just recently, we had a story that made national news about a man who was cold-cocked by a Russian illegal because he canceled the ride. The Russian got out of the Uber and clocked him. Blow! Knocked the guy clean out while he was holding his poodle. It's a devastating blow and a very hard video to watch. And now Uber is in a lawsuit because of it. Why? Because it broke its own golden rule. Safety. How many stories have you heard about young ladies being attacked, assaulted, or even the other way around, women who have been with Uber drivers and attacked them? No one after any of those instances ever says, well, that's the risk you take. That's the risk you take when you hire these gig employees, these unprofessionals, regardless of the parameters they put up. I remember that crazy story about the girl who was killed when she got into the wrong car thinking it was her Uber. Everybody said she got into the wrong Uber. No, she got into the wrong car. The car she got into was not an Uber driver. She got into a regular passenger's car. And that son of a gun, that animal, ended up taking her, assaulting her, and killing her. Uber was not responsible, but why? What did Uber do immediately after? It changed its protocols. It tried and did what it could to make them safer so that an incident like that would not happen to your wives, your daughters, or your mother. Now, I bring all of this up because it's important to recognize the danger that Democrats are ignoring. Because when I hear these people, like I heard this guy on the tape at John Larson's office, going after ICE agents because they're picking up illegals at a Home Depot, what are those individuals doing at the Home Depot? What are those individuals doing outside of a U-Haul center? I have personal knowledge of this, having worked for corporate U-Haul in Woodbridge, Virginia. I've experienced the amount of illegals that sit outside of U-Hauls across the country, hoping to do the intimate work of helping people move from home to home. These are people who are outside of a Home Depot. These are people outside of a U-Haul that customers will then hire off the books to come into their homes and do repairs or to move their items. These people don't have insurance. They have no insurance policy. Should they break things or damage anything, cause a water main break, whatever the thing might be, damage stuff, nothing. It is the risk those individuals take. There is no way to vet them, is there? But in a gig economy and people who are trying to save dollars, they will hire these individuals. And what guys like John Larson are saying, what guys in Newington are saying, is that we should risk our lives or our livelihoods by just hiring these individuals, not being, no need for concern. They're just sitting outside of a Home Depot. Why would ICE be going in and grabbing them up? They're just a bunch of innocent guys trying to get some work. Nobody knows who they are, much less the politicians who are saying they're the safest bet around here. Every person is putting their lives at risk. Let me give you a story, give you a scenario. I owned a moving company for 5 years. My best mover, and when I say best mover, it's not because he moved better than anybody else, but he was always my go-to. Whenever there was a job, he was there. And that's Carl. You guys remember I used to start the show. Hello, Carl. Carl was one of my first employees. He's been with me over 5 years. Treat him like a son. He was the ring bearer at my wedding. Because he's short. It's like the size of a teenager. But anyway, nonetheless, that's another story. Anyway, Carl and I, for one summer, were getting called to do these two-man jobs, small jobs, 10-foot trucks. And this week, it wasn't really busy, but we kept getting calls. Hey, I need 2 guys to help me move a 10-foot truck. And fine, we would show up there, and everyone we showed up at was a divorcee. A woman who was moving out of the family home. It was devastating because Carl and I were the most uncomfortable we could be because these were breakups, divorces, women crying, emotional. You know I don't operate well when women are crying. But these women were emotional. And 2 men, 2 strangers, have to show up at the home, which, by the way, the woman is leaving usually when the husband or the soon-to-be ex-husband is out of the house. And these women would be there by themselves. And these are 2 grown men, strangers, walking in the house to move her belongings to her new abode. Now, as a business owner, I'm okay, because as soon as I walk in, I usually do a consultation. I have a phone call with these people. There's an exchange. We usually have a contract in some cases. But the bottom line is that I'm legit. Now, think about that when the woman is running up to the U-Haul. It's an immediate breakup. She found out her boyfriend has broken up with her. Ah! Oh, her boyfriend's cheating on her. Ah! She's running down to the U-Haul. She grabs a 10-foot truck. She can't move the bed that she's taking out of the home. She can't grab the couch by herself. And she grabs these 2 individuals who are sitting outside of a U-Haul. Are you guys going to sit up here and just tell me she should just take the risk? That she should just find a moving company? Moving companies aren't cheap. Before I closed down the company, my going rate was $75 an hour per mover with a 2-hour minimum. These guys who were sitting there outside of a Home Depot, guess what they're charging? For the day, $85. Again, I ask, who is Bob Larson, or John Larson? Sorry, who is John Larson? God, Bob almost threw you under the bus. Who is John Larson screaming about? Who is he screaming for? Who is being protected in this literal, wild fit that these people are making? You've seen the names and you've seen the things that these people who have been pulled out of the country and put in detention center. You've seen it all. Don't act like you don't know. You do know. And it's not, again, not even just a risk to women. It's a risk to anybody. What if one of these people, desperate, gets help from somebody who's trying to do the right thing, and he's got a wad of cash? He plans on paying the guys in cash because these guys don't have things like Cash App usually or a Venmo. Some of them do, don't get me wrong. They're quite technologically advanced. But some of these guys get paid in cash. And you've got a guy who's showing up with a wad full of cash to pay 3 or 4 guys. All you need is one. All you need is one bozo that says, yeah, man, this guy looks like he got some dough. I'll say this before we take a break. And I've told this story before, but if you missed it, if you heard it before, indulge me. If you haven't, this is a true story. I am not fabricating a word of this. I'm working at my U-Haul, and I come outside, and there's a guy named Rob, who's from my neighborhood, who stands out there to do some gig work, helping people move. He's got a business card in the whole 9 yards, but he stands outside of a U-Haul, and he'll give people his card, saying, hey, you need some movers? I got some good guys for you. Well, one day I walk outside, and I see Rob, and I say, hey, what's up, buddy? Older black guy, Giants fan. What's up, buddy? How are you? As we're talking, I see a bunch of guys over in the corner. I don't know where they're from. All I know is that there are about 5 guys beating the hell out of one guy, and they're beating him pretty bad. I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? And Rob looks at me and says, that guy robbed one of the customers from U-Haul. I said, what? He said, yeah. They were all out on a job. They did the job, and after the job was over, that bozo, who they were beating up, he went back to the house at 3 o'clock in the morning. And he tried to rob him. The rest of the guys found out about it, and they beat the hell out of him because he was messing with their money. Now, I'm not for the whole vigilantism thing, and I'm glad that those guys put a little work in on him because they were letting them know that, hey, you're actually making it hard for the rest of us. But I want you to think about that. It only takes one. And guys like John Larson, and guys like, the mayor of Newington, who are screaming and hollering about these guys outside of a Home Depot, what they're really conveying is that you go on, you could take a risk with these guys. They'll never have to use them, but you do. We take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC, NewsTalk 1080. I didn't think it would be that short. I wasn't even ready for that. We'll be back. We are back. Reese on the radio, NewsTalk 1080, WTIC. Switching back to the app, Zach says, okay, fine. Zach has got a video of him riding the Harvester in Woodbridge, Illinois. Yeah, I got to see that, man. Get that to me. Michael A. says, I just happened to see John Larson on the Sunday shows last week. He has such a hatred for President Trump. He doesn't even try to hide it. Well, most of them, they don't have a hatred for Donald Trump. It is so performative, as Lori says in the chat room. It's not real. It's, they think that this is currying favor with the intelligentsia, with the, folks over at MSDNC and CNN. Like, the more you talk about Donald Trump or express your dislike for him, the more they want to bring you on. It's like the new guy, whoever the politician is who wants to make a name for himself, all you have to do is call them up and just go, I really, really hate Donald Trump. I would do it if I didn't care. But in my heart of hearts, I wish that someone would pull off the biggest April Fool's joke of all time. And that is just out of nowhere, just start hating Donald Trump and booking themselves on all of the networks. and then just April Fool's Inc. and really get some dirt coming from all of them. I would say, you know what, I used to be a big, giant Trump fan, but now I can't stand him, and I want him impeached. And then get on one of those shows and then talk to the guys behind the scene, like a Jake Tapper, listen to them behind the scene and listen to their gleefulness that they, that you finally come around and get some recon. They would love it. They are so easily baited into that. If you don't believe me, look at what happened when Tucker Carlson didn't agree with Donald Trump on Gaza. Look at the way that they immediately started showing interest in Candace Owens when she, started calling Donald Trump a scam artist. Look at the way they treated, and this is probably the best. Look at how they flip-flopped on Omarosa. It was night and day. When Omarosa joined the first Trump administration, she was the scourge of the world. We don't have traffic yet. She was the scourge of the world. And then she wrote a book where she called Donald Trump a racist and said that he said racist things in the White House, and they booked her everywhere. They helped her sell the book. All she had to do was turn on him, and they acted like they'd never called her the most evil woman in the world. So I look at this like, John Larson, there's nothing honest about him. The guy was in Newington and never went. Newington's not a big town. Newington, blink, you miss it. He never went to the actual car wash to even show some solidarity with the people who work there, who we know for a fact that think that the ICE is coming back for them. Which, what I also find incredibly funny is that Mark's got one of the brothers on tape saying, you don't know, they might be coming back for me. But guess what? He showed up to work. Hey, give it up for the work ethic. I'm just saying. Hey, I could be going. Next week, Mark from West Hartford, I could be with my brother in another state getting ready to go back to my country. But I had to come to work, okay? The tips are pretty good here. I'm just telling you, okay? Yes, they come for me next time. So I make it easy. I figured I'll be here, I don't resist. We got to get up out of here. We got to do top of the news. Let's get to it. WTIC Newsroom. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080. And we are back. It is Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080. We don't have any headlines today because it's Friday, and Friday is usually lame. But we do have the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Why? That's what the media sounds like today. Why? He's so mean. I'm sorry, but that's exactly what they sound like today. What are they moaning about? Okay, I don't know why this is a headline anywhere, but Kamala Harris lost her Secret Service detail today. Okay? She was supposed to have it up until July. All right, it's the end of August, and Donald Trump has suspended it. And everyone has lost it. Why? Because here's the thing. No one's even bothered to ask this question. Why did Joe Biden, sorry, I forgot. Joe Biden didn't do that. Why did somebody in Joe Biden's administration extend her Secret Service detail? For what reason? There's no explanation. No one is even bothered to ask. The only thing that they're talking about is that Donald Trump suspended her Secret Service detail a month after it was supposed to be over for all vice presidents. But why is Kamala Harris special? Why? No one has ever said that about any other vice president at all. Joe Biden lost his after 6 months. Al Gore lost his after 6 months. Everybody's got to have theirs for 6 months. But for some odd reason, Kamala Harris losing hers a month after she was supposed to, everyone's losing it. And I'm getting sent this story, and I got to tell you, I don't care. Are you really, is it really a story? Joe Biden extended it for no good reason. No one can even figure out one. What threat was Kamala Harris under? None. What threat? Every threat we've heard that was against Kamala Harris turned out to be false. Remember the lie that on January 6th she was alleged to be at the DNC? She wasn't there. Then it was alleged that there was a threat on her life after the actual assault on Donald Trump on July 13th because they thought it would get Kamala Harris some empathy, if not sympathy, on the campaign trail because they were damn well certain that Donald Trump was going to be was going to pretty much win the presidency. I mean, even his campaign said, as they watched it on television in real time, he's going to win now. They knew it. Go read the book. His campaign staffers were at their mother's house, watching it on TV, seeing Donald Trump put the arm, fight. They went, oh, no, he's going to win. They knew it. They knew it. I knew it before then, but it was definitely a shoo-in after that. So no one cares. No offense. What are they afraid that Kamala Harris is going to get hit with? Huh? Knowledge? That they think somebody's going to sniper her with some knowledge? Here's 2 cc's of a brain. That's what they think she's going to get attacked with, like a fact? She'll be fine, ladies and gentlemen. And she's on a book tour. She got an advance for her book tour. I'm pretty sure that they'll give her a security detail and make it look like you can actually hire guys, I hear, to be your bodyguards. Some of them are dirt cheap. So, yeah, I thought that was stupid. I want to talk about this, and I'll get to the phones in a second. Stand by. So we got John Larson. We've got John Trister. We've got Ned Lamont, Chris Murphy, Dick Blumenthal. Oh, don't forget about that bozo, Bob Duff. I didn't even get to that post that he did on Facebook the other day. Did you see that? That bozo. All these people screaming and hollering about ICE coming into town and taking illegals out of the state. By the way, you notice no one's talking about Danbury? No one's talking about Danbury? That 84 people out of Danbury was some winners out there, huh? No one's talking about Danbury. Where are the protests for the Danbury folks? Those folks weren't out there at a Home Depot. Anyway. But imagine hearing these people screaming and hollering at the top of their lungs. Right? And if you're just joining us, here's John Larson. Visibly moved.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
Imagine that. Oh, yeah, that's right. A.G. Tong. Thank you, Michael A. Can't forget him either. Now, imagine all of that is happening. And then there's this small little detail that we've been talking about here on the show. And imagine how one story would sort of swing itself into the immigration story. Listen. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about a child. Well, a couple of years ago, I apologize. We talked about a child who fell out of a window when his mother was out and the father allegedly was in the house high on crack. Even though DCF had been to the house several times and said that the house was good to go for children to live there. 6-year-old lost his life. Then we had that crazy case in Waterbury A young man who had DCF come to the house ended up being held captive for 20 years. Had to start a fire in the house in order to be saved. Poor Seth, I hope he's doing well. But it put DCF on Front Street, saying, hey, what the hell's going on with DCF? We find out that DCF is pretty much overwhelmed with cases. Each DCF agent, their caseload is a mile long. They can't seem to keep up. DCF is being called for everything, anything. Kids are truant. Kids in trouble at home. Feels though they are being abused by their parents who just want them to do their homework. Hell, DCF is even being called to separate a very confused young girl named Irene Saeed, to drag her from the arms of her loving mother, Elvira, only to lead to the girl killing herself at Rider University in New Jersey. I mean, the DCF, they've been really kind of gone by the wayside. And then to pick up the newspaper today and read this. Connecticut has an epidemic of kids being trafficked for sex, DCF says. Connecticut has an epidemic? Weird. Here's some of the pull quotes. The epidemic rate of child sex trafficking in Connecticut, coming from the retired Child Welfare Commissioner Jody Hill-Lilly, described the rate of teenagers being trafficked for sex in Connecticut as an epidemic, emphasizing that it's occurring in every household, including those similar to lawmakers. Lingering effects of COVID-19, the issue that has been exacerbated by the isolation from the COVID-19 pandemic, which Hill-Lilly called a shadow pandemic, leading to deep unresolved trauma among youth with co-occurring disorders like mental health issues, substance abuse, and developmental challenges. Audit findings on missing children, a state audit from fiscal years 21 to 23, identified 3,736 episodes of children going missing from DCF care, with one child missing 100 times. 70% of these absences lasted days or less, and 2 children were classified as runaways. 1 is still missing. Sex trafficking cases in juvenile justice, the audit highlighted 6 female teens who were victims of sex trafficking and becoming involved in Connecticut's juvenile justice system. Victim profiles say that victims, more than likely to be females and LGBTQ individuals, or those in congregate care settings, make them prone to running away. Hill-Lilly shared an anecdote of an 18-year-old from a typical household being trafficked. The contributing factors: fragile family structures, lack of locked facilities in group homes and foster care, shortages of appropriate care facilities leading to kids in emergency rooms, and police fatigue from frequent missing youth reports contributing to the problem. That's according to the report in the CT Mirror. We did another comprehensive study. We thought that it was important that we get that information. We asked a simple question, folks, and that was whether or not there was sex trafficking amongst our immigrant communities. Here's what we found. Vulnerabilities of undocumented minors and immigrant children. The unaccompanied migrant children, primarily from the Central American countries like Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, and some from Venezuela, are particularly at risk for human trafficking, including sex trafficking. These children often flee violence, poverty, food insecurity, and family economic pressures, sometimes leaving school to support their families. Smuggling arrangements can blur into trafficking, with parents entrusting children to relatives, neighbors, and smugglers who exploit them. Fairfield County in Connecticut has been noted for housing such unaccompanied minors, increasing their exposure to trafficking risks. Blurring of smuggling and trafficking. Panel discussions highlight how initial smuggling of migration can evolve into exploitation, with complex, unique cases that defy simple categorizations. Greater awareness in needed to foster compassion and advocacy, such as contacting congressional representatives, according to the report. Services and support organizations. Connecticut's Institute for Refugees and Immigrants provides targeted services for immigrants, refugees, and unaccompanied minors and survivors of human trafficking, including sex trafficking, through Project Rescue, which was established in 2006. Says they offer comprehensive case management and advocacy for immigration legal aid, housing, job training, health services, and referrals. In 2024, CIRI supported nearly 300 trafficking survivors, which may include children from immigrant backgrounds. Again, I ask, who is John Larson protecting? Who is Mayor John Trister protecting? You? These kids? Because I haven't heard a press conference about one of these kids ever. Have you? Not one. We've got Justin Elliker, as you heard at the top of the hour. He's celebrating an 18-year-old boy that's being returned to his family. Well, bravo there, Justin. All right. But while you were there, did you hold any press conference about the 4 shootings that just happened and the drive-by the other night? Did you hold anything about that? Where were you on that? No? Nothing? Not important? Where was the media asking you about that? Huh? We're not talking about the violent deaths of individuals in the community at all? No? Yeah, that's interesting. I find that odd. I find it odd. I see what your priorities are, but this isn't about those folks. You don't care about trafficking. You don't care about Mexicans, Guatemalans, Ecuadorians. You don't care about any of those people. You care about votes. You care about clicks. And the news media, no offense, you don't care about anything other than ratings. That's all you care about. You don't care about these people. Let them die. Let them be trafficked. Let these kids run away. For you, it's nothing more than a reason for you to chase them down or to chase down a story so you can report about it. Nobody does anything. And then I know they don't care. Because you call them and you ask them, hey, would you like to talk about this? Can you tell our audience what you guys are doing? Do you have any plans? You know what I get from these folks? Send us an email. We'll get back to you. Who needs you? Who needs you? I'll tell you, that Larson boy, he desperate. Boy, he desperate. You got to explain that to me. You're screaming at the top of your lungs like this?
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
Like, really, dude? Like, really? No one, whatever. No one believes that. By the way, when we come back, and we'll get to your phone calls, I promise. Police in Connecticut, use of force on black arrestees. Apparently more often than on white ones, according to a UConn study. Somebody sent this to me, and then I was actually somewhere in the news feed. And so I saw it. And we did some background on it. Never trust a college study. Never. Because as you can bet, we found the flaws and the flat-out lies that are in this study. And it's pretty embarrassing that it came from a school like UConn, and they put it out, and the news media jumped on it. It's not what you think. It's not. In fact, the numbers are quite striking. We've got some other numbers, too, about shootings. We had a gentleman who called up yesterday talking about shootings in the United States. Those numbers, by the way, just, you know what, in fact, I'll bring it up now. So I wanted to test the theory that mass shootings were not this thing that everybody keeps saying is a so-called white thing. It's not. It's wild what these numbers are. Now, I want you to consider this. Let me see if I can go to my data here. It's such a glaring point of misinformation that when I saw it, I went, no, is that real? I had to go back and went, oh, yeah, it's real. Here's the yesterday. Let me see here. That is the shootings. Yeah, this is it right here. Yeah, we did a whole breakdown of all of these shootings. Try this on for size. And it shows you how bad this data is as far as UConn is concerned. This is really, really bad. So we broke down how many people in the African-American community versus the white community or Latino or Asian were committing what's called a mass shooting. Here's what we found. Based on race and ethnicity, black and non-Hispanic are 13% of the population. The approximate share of perpetrators, 66%. So again, I know numbers suck on the radio, so I'm doing it slowly for a reason. Black and Hispanics, we know, make 13% of the population. Approximate share of perpetrators of mass shooting, 66%. By contrast, white non-Hispanic population, 58%. Approximate share of perpetrators, 19%. So it's a mix match. 13% of the population should be 19% of the perpetrators. They are not. The larger population is responsible for the fewer in that group between black and white. 13% of the population, 66% of all mass shooter perpetrators. Whites make 58% of the population, only 19% of the share. Hispanics make up 19% of the population. It couldn't get crazier. Now think about it. Hispanic or Latino, larger population than African Americans with 19% versus 13%. Latino, Hispanic, approximate share of perpetrators, 8%. 8%. That's the number no one wants to hear. Can I tell you the Asian one? Just because I have to tell you the Asian one. Asians make up 6% of the population. The percentage of perpetrators of mass shootings, -2. It's pretty sad. We got to take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views, your phone calls when we return. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Let's get to the phones, 860-522-WTIC. Rouse in South Carolina. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Reese. I have a question for you, Reese.
Yes, sir.
Do me a favor and ask John Larson what he thinks or where he should put all those criminals. Maybe in his town? What do you think?
I don't think he has a plan. Again, look, this isn't about a plan. This isn't about actually really caring about these people. This is about cameras. This is about print ink. That's all this is. This guy doesn't even care. When we asked the office and called them, hey, have you been down to the place? Do you know that his brother still works there? These guys knew nothing. They just knew there was a microphone and cameras that were going to be someplace, and they rushed to him. Like literally, they ran to him like moths to flames. There's a protest? I get to be on TV? Hurry up. What are we going to say? Scream and holler about ICE. Okay, I can do that. It's real dumb. It's just so ridiculous, and that's why I laugh at it. The fact that anybody thinks that this isn't even performative, because it's bad performative. It's like, to watch it, it's like interpretive dance, the most boring and ridiculous thing people can do as an art form.
Reese, the biggest problem Connecticut has, in my mind, is they will vote for a Democrat if he's a pedophile and has been caught on camera being a pedophile.
That's
So
not
still vote for him.
this. Look, they know that they're not getting anywhere with the support of African Americans in the state of Connecticut, because I've already learned that electorate, or that sort of the polling data that says African Americans in Connecticut overall is meaningless to the Democrat Party. They don't care about them. They don't see them as constituents. So that's not a care in the world. This is another oppressed group that they can pretend that they care about. And that's why they're doing it. That's all. They think that this is going to win them votes.
The sad part, Reese, is that these morons want these criminals released back into the states. And what are they going to tell the people whose families are affected by these criminals, these rapists, and these murders? If they lose a family member, or daughter is raped, mother or father is killed by a drunk driver, what's their message going to be? Oh, gee, that's too bad.
No one, look, the only thing that they know for certain is that the news media will cover it, but they will not ask the politicians who promoted the fact that they wanted them here or were protecting them here. They'll never think about it. Have you noticed that no one in the news media has asked John Larson about the folks that were arrested in Danbury, about the 84 that were picked up in Danbury? No. No one's even asked him. Why? Because he knows exactly what every one of those folks were picked up for. And just like this, when it's revealed what those 7 men in Newington were picked up for, these guys will act like it never happened. That's what they'll do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but again, Reese, the people in Connecticut think once in a while. I know I lived in Watertown for many years. I don't know if you're familiar with Watertown, Connecticut at all. Well, every 4 years, you know what they would do in Watertown?
Mm-hmm.
They would change parties. They wouldn't let them stay there long enough to screw things up.
I'm not going to lie. I really thought that about Connecticut for a long time. It was, I remember the first time getting here and saying, so what's the deal? Are they blue? Are they purple? Are they what? And people went, they could go either way. And then something changed. And I thought Malloy was going to be, because I knew Democrats in Mystic who were like, no, Malloy is just, this guy's tax and spend. They were like, we're never doing this again. And then we got Lamont as a result. I'm like, okay. So, I don't know. It's maybe, some people say it's too far gone. I don't really believe that. But it's going to be a tough road to hoe with the likes of Aaron Stewart. And I don't care that she doesn't like that I said it. If you got beef with me, you know where you can call. But
I hope and pray. Again, I left Connecticut 10 years ago for South Carolina, and that was one of the best. That's the best move I ever made. What I would like to know about all these people in Connecticut who continually vote for Democrats, irregardless of their record, and that's what scares me. Because if there was a Republican, and I'm an American, not a Republican or a Democrat, and if a Republican is screwing up, I'm not going to vote for him.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I hear you. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Wall Street. Joe's on the line. What's up, buddy?
Hey, you're talking about Larson, the man who would not vote for Lincoln Riley's bill to protect women and children.
There you go.
The man who sat on his fat butt during the State of the Union. He wouldn't honor the angel moms up in the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
The guy is a despicable piece of you-know-what. But let me give you some tips. If you want to put in a little time, I can give you a little history about John Larson. I used to live in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
He's the ultimate political hack. He takes everything for granted. But remember when the Republicans got the House in 2011 because of the Obamacare outrage?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Paul Ryan became the speaker?
Yep.
Well, when they opened up Congress, and this is where, if you really want to do some homework, and you get a wonderful soundbite on John Larson and a lot of other Democrats, including Pelosi back then, when they opened up the Congress in January of 2011, you remember how Ryan was trying to conduct business, and the Democrats were all like a bunch of, college rioters of the 1960s. They were all on the floor screaming and yelling.
Yes.
They had hard liquor. They were drinking. They all were drunk,
mm-hmm.
and they wouldn't allow the business of the Congress to go. I don't know how many days they delayed it with Paul Ryan up there trying to, bang for order. But you know what John Larson was doing? And this is why it caught my eye. It was despicable what the Democrats were doing. Mm-hmm. He was on his hands, and I'm surprised he wasn't barking like a dog, on your tape, because he can really bark like a dog. He was on his hands and knees and barking like a dog, adding to the loud din.
Really?
Yeah, he was barking like a dog, and he can bark like a dog. He sounds like a Siberian husky.
All right, well, if I could find that clip, I'm going to look for it.
Well, it's somewhere unless it got erased.
Nah, I doubt it.
In January 2011, just 14 years ago.
Yeah, I will look for it. Thank you there.
One other question.
Oh, go ahead, real quick.
You're looking for a place to live?
Yeah.
Why don't you go back to Fountain Village in Manchester?
I was thinking that. It's so funny. I was thinking that. I was, it's so funny because I was there last week. I drove through it, and I don't know. It didn't look that different than it did when I was, when I used to live there 20 years ago. I wouldn't mind. It just seemed, it was kind of nostalgic. I didn't really think of it, but you're right. I should go back.
Well, it's nostalgic.
What was nostalgic?
Beautiful. Well, for Fountain Village, as it turns out, because when I was 13, my father's working for Pratt Whitney, and he was commuting to Rhode Island for 2 or 3 years, and he had enough of it. Fountain Village had just opened brand new in 1968.
Oh, wow.
We went over there. They were brand new, 1968. And, of course, I was heartbroken. I had a beautiful half-acre, lightly wooded yard, lots of friends. I was in 9th grade. And we went over and brand new duplex end of the building, Abraham Lincoln Building. They're all named after presidents.
That's
so
right.
You probably know it.
I was at 10. My apartment was 10 Downing. And it was what was actually interesting about it was it's a front-facing but rear door. Like the rear door is where you park, but it had a front porch that you could go out into the little yard that goes out to the main road. And I would be there. I would be out there with my son Ethan, and I would chip golf balls right there, and into a cup. And it was like we had our own front yard.
Well, as things turned out for me, I ended up getting the 3 paper routes at 13 to 17. I had the old Hartford Times, that's now defunct, the Hartford Courant, and the Manchester Herald. I had all 3 paper routes.
Wow.
Totaling maybe 300 plus, deliveries, customers, and the tips and the basic profit. And this is back in 1968, 69, 70.
Okay.
You could buy a brand new compact car back then for $2,000.
Right. What was your take?
I was netting with tips and everything over $100 a week.
That's good.
And I saved for my Yukon, 3 years of Yukon. I didn't buy a car. I wish I had, but. And then, of course, the women. You talk about the women that lure young boys. They were young teachers. They were roommates all over Fountain Village. And
was that a teacher's facility?
Well, no, a lot.
No. When I say a teacher's, like in other words, like a lot of.
Yeah, Fountain Village. Every building. There was 326 apartments in Fountain Village, and Beacon Hill next door. When Beacon Hill opened, I jumped right on that, and I picked up about 70 people there.
Yeah, I didn't like Beacon Hill. I always thought that reminded me of Queens. I didn't like that building.
Yeah, but Fountain Village is more family, and Beacon Hill is more single. But the school teachers were all over the place in Fountain Village. They're like roommates.
Oh.
But most of them taught in the Hartford school system. And I know you got to go.
Yes.
But my first real serious involvement with a lady, I was going by the Fountain Village pool on a Saturday afternoon in August, and I had my collection book. That was the day I collected most of my money. Collecting 60 cents a person. That's how it was for a week, Sunday, and 60 cents a week. So the good customers would give me $1. That was a 40-cent tip, and I'm making 24 cents, basic. But anyway, I'm going by the pool, and one of the teachers on my route, she usually wore glasses, but she's at the pool by herself, no glasses on. I almost didn't recognize her, and she was scantily, back in 1971, I mean, she was just gorgeous, like out of a magazine. So I went over the fence, and I said, hi, and she goes, hi, Joe. I said, when the Sports Illustrated edition comes out this coming February, you should be on the cover. You're better than any of the ones they've had on the cover up till now. And she came right over the fence. Oh, you're so sweet. And that. Well, anyway, she took that as a hint, and I'm not going to go any further.
Yes, please don't.
Yeah, but Fountain Village is a soft spot in my heart. I was there until 1986. I got out, at my house. I was an adult. I stayed there. I went to UConn, came back.
That's a lot that's a lot of years there. I don't think I plan on being there that long. Let me go, Joe. Thank you, boss man. Yeah. I appreciate you. I want to get to these crime statistics real quick before we get up out of here. To take a break, and then we'll bring Rozan in. By the way, I'm going to talk to you about what Rozan's going to talk about today. We had this weird conversation this morning about college athletes, and I'll ask her about that when we get here. So according to this UConn report, which says police in Connecticut use force on black arrestees more often than on white ones, according to the UConn study. So we looked at the numbers that they gave. Now, listen to this. Again, I know numbers suck, so I'll try my best to convey them. They went through all of these cities. I'll name them for you. New Haven, Hartford, Waterbury, East Hartford, Norwalk, Meriden, Manchester, Stamford, New London, and West Hartford. Now, these numbers get lower as you go down the list. New Haven had 124. That's how many incidents were reported. Hartford, 109. Waterbury, 108. East Hartford, 100. Norwalk, 63. Meriden, 55. Manchester, 45. Stamford, 40. New London, 36. And West Hartford, 36. With a total of 646. These are 54% of all incidents. These are the ones that they are rating that there was excessive force. So we went through this data with all of these excessive force reports. And then we analyzed what didn't make sense. Because as they always are in these schools, they always skew it. We'll take a break, but I'm going to come back. Let me tell you what we found in the report. That Bridgeport, Connecticut, the largest city, only reported, according to the UConn study, 17 incidents. It's why they didn't make the list I just read to you. Stand by. More news, more views, and, of course, this data when we return. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I've only got a couple of minutes for this, but I want to thank Ruddy for correcting me. If I said excessive force, I didn't mean to say that. It's the use of force that's being studied by UConn. But here's the flaws that we found in it. It says the underreporting of major departments. Bridgeport, Connecticut's largest city, only reported 17 incidents, far lower than smaller cities like New Haven that got, far more, or should say far less than smaller cities like New Haven and Hartford. God, Bridgeport is huge, and it wasn't in there. The assumption of force frequency calculations. The 1.6 rate of force in 1,500 of 96,000 arrests assumes that all use of force incidents led to arrest. However, not all force incidents necessarily result in arrests. Inconsistent reporting systems. Connecticut State Police use different reporting systems, making direct comparisons difficult. This could introduce biases in the data, especially since state police incidents are included in the total, but many don't align with municipal standards, potentially affecting racial or contextual breakdowns. The lack of deeper causation analysis is not in the report as well. And, of course, the mental health overlap is not disaggregated. So a lot of this was meant to do what it did, and that is suggest that there are greater numbers as it pertains to African Americans versus whites, but it takes out key data. In another part, it also kind of goes after large black neighborhoods in order to suggest. So it's like, it's fudging the numbers by making sure that the incidents have more black folks than they do white folks, and then saying, see, they are aggressive with more black folks. It's flawed, but that's UConn. What do you expect? No offense. Sorry, buddy. That's just the way it goes. Let's take a break. We got to get to our first check of Weather and traffic. Scott Holman is in for Bob Larson, and we got Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. How we doing, sir? Happy Friday.
Hey.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
All right, we're going to take your phone calls in the next hour. We got Rozan coming up very soon. And after we get another check of weather and traffic with Scott Holman in for Bob Larson and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center, we are going to come back with none other than Greg Bugbee, who's back on the show for the third time. From the Connecticut Agricultural and Experiment Station. This phone call is going to be very informative because it's a story that we have been on for months now about the application of DQuat in the Connecticut River and about alternatives to get rid of Hydrilla. And so we will talk about the progress that we got. Greg Bugbee made a promise to us that he would get C&D underwater maintenance out to the river to see if they could pull a hydrilla without chemicals. That has been done. I posted it on my Facebook page if you're interested in viewing that. But we're going to talk to Greg Bugbee of CAES about that process and what he thought of it when we return. So stand by, go nowhere. You don't want to miss this interview. With that, let's get to some weather and traffic. As I said, Scott Holman is in for Bob Larson and Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, we made some headroom with this hydrilla thing. With the natural way. So we're gonna talk to Bugbee about that, see what it looks like.
That's great news. Great news. Get rid of that invasive stuff without harming people. That's what it's all about.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Let's get to it. Friend of the show, Greg Bugbee, is on the line of CAES, the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. Greg, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Reese. It's good to be back.
So to give some people, I need to start from the beginning. We had you on the program talking about DQuat. Of course, you were on Brian's show talking about, the people who have been protesting about the use of DQuat. From his show, you ended up on my show. You had a meeting to go to at 3 o'clock that time when you were on my show, and you wanted to introduce a non-herbicide way to remove hydrilla. So we got you in touch with Jeff Cordisco of C&D Underwater Maintenance. It took a couple of weeks for you guys to finally get together and do this, and it looks like, when did this actual test run take place? Was it yesterday, this week? When exactly?
It was yesterday. We spent a rather long day yesterday on the river. We found a site and a marina owner at Andrews Marina right north of the bridge there in East Haddam who allowed us to use his property, his launching area, and an area for disposal of material. So we spent a long day yesterday. I was able to set up 3 half-acre plots, one for harvesting with what's called an eco-harvester, another which was what we call a control, which would have nothing done to it, and another which had a harvester plus a diver-assisted suction harvesting boat there where it was being sucked out much like with an underwater vacuum cleaner. So it went very well, I must say. With all the equipment and boats, sometimes things go wrong, but everything went very, very well. We were able to get out about a trailer load, which is like 5 cubic yards of hydrilla. I looked at it. It looks like a fair amount of the root system came with it, which was good to see. We didn't see any dead fish, that was coming up with the material, frogs or turtles or anything like that.
So wow, that's actually really, it's so funny. I didn't think about that aspect because what we did know is that a fair amount of fish actually hide in the hydrilla to evade prey, right?
Yeah, but we did not find that at all. So that was another good thing to find. And, as we move forward, we're going to be going back to these plots. We know, where they are. We got them georeferenced with GPS systems, so we can go back, find the corners, and monitor the differences between the techniques and the control site.
Now, this particular organization you hadn't worked with before, and Jeffrey has done this for a long time. He's one of what I would consider one of the pros in this area. Tell me, if you could, Greg, aside from what you've already described, one, they didn't pick up any fish or anything like that, what was the most surprising thing you learned about this non-herbicide removal?
Well, first of all, again, it's certainly a feasible option. We have to, assess how well it works, and there's obviously costs involved. But I think to see that, as I mentioned, that they were pulling roots, which I some of the traditional harvesting, which uses cutters, just mow it like a lawn.
Right.
Where their technique is one where it pulls the roots and all. So that was good. I had not witnessed, to this level anyway, this type of harvesting before. So I think that's important to know, and it's important for others to realize that this is not a typical harvesting with like a cutter that just cuts it like a lawn. This pulls roots and all.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but that was one of the biggest arguments that we were getting from a lot of people when I talked to one of the environmentalists out of the Long Island Sound, and for the life of me, their name is escaping me, but I spoke to them for a long time. In fact, we were almost arguing, and he kept talking about fragmenting Hydrilla. He kept saying, no, but that eco-harvesting leads to fragmenting. And Jeff was telling us it doesn't have to be that way. And it was often told to us that it was the only thing that happened with eco-harvesting, and now we know for certain that there is a process of doing so. You said something interesting. You said, but now you have to evaluate the cost. Talk to me a little bit about that, from what you saw so far, or anything that you may have gleaned from C&D, if anything.
Well, first of all, I want to give them credit and give you credit for sort of hooking us up together, because that was extremely important.
Thank you.
And they put a lot of effort into this. They had, I think, 5 guys, 2 boats. They had 2 divers in the water. So there was a lot of effort there. So obviously that's going to be a cost down the road.
Sure.
And they did an excellent job, and they really, really combed this area that, I think stem to stern. And I think if we're going to get great results, we're going to get it, with what they did. So again, the cost is down the road is going to be important, as is, this plant there's a lot of unknowns with how it grows.
Right.
We're able to, when I checked the material that came up, it had not produced what we call turions, which is the reproductive structure that will produce plants next year. So that, because they had not produced it yet, and I don't think they will because they've been cut back so much, that could be a big help. So yeah, it's very interesting. I'm very glad we did it. You need tools in your toolbox. And,
yes.
This is one which had not been tested, and I think it worked out extremely well. I mean, there was no hiccups. Went well, and it's just a matter of seeing what sort of control we have in a few weeks, and then even next year we'll be back looking to see if there's any long-term control. And this can be compared to the herbicide usage, and and if it works as well, then it's that's going to be a tool. Going to be an option.
I was looking at some of the data on this, Greg, and if you're just joining us, folks, Greg Bugbee of the CAES, Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, is with us. There was one of the things that we were looking at, and that was the budget that had been proposed for the hydrilla removal with the herbicide. And the numbers for the herbicide removal, or at least in the 12 sites that were going to be used, that number had only reached to about $150,000 of a $5 million budget that was going to all of these research developments. And that, you have nothing to do with that. But that's what I was finding alarming about that. But if we could, would it be, and I'm just asking, you don't have to co-sign this question. If you have an answer for it, I'd love to hear it from you. But let's say we found out that the cost of using a non herbicide removal like the eco-harvesters was half the cost from the federal government. Like, in other words, it only costs $2.5 million to have C&D do the project. Would that be cost effective, or are you saying, because then again, the only thing you guys would need to do is like do research to make sure that the stuff wasn't coming back, even though we know that you can't get rid of hydrilla. It's like herpes. It never goes away. But if this was one of those projects that, one, we didn't have to worry about the chemical concern, like coming back to find out if the water is contaminated. The only research we would be doing is finding out the response or the reemergence of hydrilla. Would that be helpful in any way?
Oh, I think it would. I mean, I think techniques like this, if effective, are going to be in demand. There's going to be certain areas, certain people and coves and this and that are going to want non-chemical options. So if this works, this will be fine. I mean, if it's the same price for to do a certain area or less, and it works as well, I can't imagine why it wouldn't be used.
Yeah.
It only makes sense. So,
do you have to go through a particular chain of command in order for you to implement this process? Or I know you don't have the final say. I mean, you're there in essence as a biologist, a marine are you a marine biologist? I thought you were.
No, I'm a freshwater.
Ecologist. That's right.
Yeah, I'm not. Once it gets salt water, then I'm out.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Okay. I just want to make sure I get it right. Now, I've got to ask you a question that's a little controversial. You may not know anything about this, but if you didn't hear, and you probably did not, myself and two guys took a boat out to Selden Cove because we learned that there was a press release by the Army Corps of Engineers that they were going to be putting an herbicide in the cove. And we assumed that when we got the press release in the Connecticut Insider, that this was going to be a dequat spray. So we set out to get there. We knew we couldn't get there by land because I had so many people telling us you can't get there by land. So we got a boat and we went out. Okay. And the company called Solitude, I'm sure you're familiar with, was out there. And they weren't using dequat. They were using an herbicide called Aquathol K. Are you familiar with it?
Right. Yes. It's also called Endothol. Yes, very familiar with it.
Okay. From the information that we gathered, 5 states in the region banned the shipment and usage of Aquathol K. Why would it be used in Connecticut in the Cove?
I don't know. Most of these herbicides like that, you cannot purchase without a license, a supervisory license. And so if you go online and try to purchase even diquat, you'll probably be told it will not be shipped to Connecticut. And it might be the same with Endothol. So you got to go through, certain distributors that keep records of the people who have what's called supervisory licenses to apply products.
Right.
And then you get the products. But
right.
Yeah,
so pretty much like buying something that could be used as some sort of weapon of mass destruction. So you have to have all the protocols. Totally understood. Now, you said something earlier about this testing with the eco-harvesters that I'd like to apply to the Selden Cove story. So you guys had to get authorization to launch from a marina, right? You have to get authorization from the individuals who, in essence, if it's off their land to go into the Connecticut River, you have to go through them. I can only assume that's the same case at Selden Cove?
Again, once you get in the water, it's different.
Okay.
I'm sure that, so again, as long as you're in the water, you're on basically, state waters.
State waters, okay. But if let's say your home or your property is surrounding that waterway, because the cove is, a cove. For those of you not familiar, it's almost like, your property is on land, but, when you come out, you dock your boat there, or, your kids can just go fishing if they dive off the little platform there. But in essence, you kind of have like a backdoor natural, water pool. My question is, do you have to, if you're spraying an herbicide or they were just pouring it into the water, Do you have to get permission from the homeowner in that region, or do they have no say?
You don't necessarily need permission. They have to be notified of it. The state gives the permission. Now, normally when you get your permit, and the permit process requires you to notify the town that you're doing this, and then the town can then have comments or
object.
Object. They would have to go to the DEP to voice the objection, and it may or may not be withheld. The state has jurisdiction over the waters of the state. But yeah, so that's usually it'll go through the town, and if there's objections to residents, they'll make it known, and they can make it known to DEP as well.
Okay.
All
right. No. I was just wondering because we had noticed some things there. The Army Corps of Engineers never showed up, and they did tell, Solitude told us they were meeting in the Army Corps there for them to supervise. And I got to tell you, Greg, they not only did they not show up, but one of the guys who was dropping the aquathol, he dropped a box right into the water. Like he just dropped it. Like it fell off the boat. It was the most, it was real Keystone Cop stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, it blew our mind. Well, I don't want, like I said, I want to get you into that controversy. I want to thank you so much. Please, Greg, you have my personal number. Let me know if there are any developments based upon, when you guys go down there in a couple of weeks to go check it out. If there's any changes, if it was good or bad or indifferent, we really want to know so we can inform the listener, okay?
I will do that, and you're welcome to come out with me on my boat sometime.
Greg, listen to me. You don't have to ask twice. I'm on that boat. I love it. Thank you so much, man.
All right, Reese. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Greg Bugbee, folks, of the Connecticut Agricultural Experimental Station. He's a good guy. Damn, you couldn't get a better guy. He is honest to his word. He has always been. When that guy told us he was going to call back after that meeting and let us know, the next day he called us up. You couldn't get a better guy who works for the state. He's an honest dude. And not that it's rare, but it's nice to see. Greg Bugbee, if you can, find a way to get that guy a Yelp review or something. I love it. Let's take another check of weather and traffic with Scott Holman filling in for Bob Larson and Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Reese.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, we are back. It's Reese on the Radio with Rozan on the radio. Say hello, Rozan.
Hello, Rozan.
We are back, of course, for another ladies' night, so we got plenty of stuff to talk about. I've got to talk about some hating that Rozan did this morning about college athletes. We'll talk about that a little bit. She has this typical response to these young men making millions of dollars, and I don't seem to understand.
Students.
I don't think
students.
Whatever.
Okay.
These young men making millions of dollars. But before we get into that, we got to get our winner for Between Rounds.
Is it me?
No.
Between rounds.
Between rounds.
Between rounds. Between rounds.
Congratulations goes out to Linda D. in Suffield. She is the current winner, recipient of a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. If you would like to win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, you got to go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's where you go, ReeseOnTheRadio.com, REESE ontheradio.com. Fill out the form, and you will win an opportunity or get an opportunity to win. You must live in the state of Connecticut, and you cannot have won within the last 6 months. And you cannot be Rozan. So she goes.
But you can go buy some. I had one this morning.
You did? Okay.
I had a bagel sandwich on one this morning.
The
wife buys some when she goes.
Oh, I can tell you about my favorite bagel sandwich from Between Rounds.
Okay, which one?
I had it was bacon and egg on a jalapeno and cheddar, but it had pepper jack cheese on top, and it was melted. Oh, so good.
What was that accent?
What accent?
The one. Say the word again. Say the spice. I mean the pepper again. What's it called?
Pepper jack?
No, the other one. The hot one. Say
jalapeno?
It again. There you go. Say it again.
Jalapeño.
See, yeah. What's that accent? Where's that coming from?
That's the proper way to say a word.
It's okay. It's the way that you say it.
How do you say it? Jalapeno?
No, I say jalapeno.
Jalapeno.
Yeah. I say it like a normal person.
A normal person?
Yeah, like a normal person.
Am I abnormal?
No, you sound like Speedy Gonzalez when you say
Jalapeño.
See, there you go.
Because that's the proper way to pronounce it.
I didn't know that you actually had to code switch on the damn word.
It's not a code switch. If
What
you
is it?
understand the proper pronunciation of the vowels in Spanish, you understand how to pronounce the word properly.
Say Vieques.
Say what?
Vieques, the island of Puerto Rico. Say Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
See, there you go. My point exactly.
Puerto Rico.
No, just say Puerto Rico.
That's what I said, Puerto Rico.
See.
It's not my fault you can't,
I don't need to
pronounce
do
words
all
properly.
of that. People know what I'm saying when I say it.
But you can't say it. That's the difference.
What, you think I can't sound out the word?
No. You
like
can't.
it was.
Can you roll your R's?
Of course I can.
Let me hear. Oh my gosh. You sound like a child making the car noise as you're pushing a little toy car across the room. There you go.
Speaking of room, let's go to the BPS Traffic Center with Mark Christopher. How you doing, Mark? A lot of rooms out there. Mark Christopher,
Hey,
there
good
he is.
afternoon to you, and good afternoon, everyone.
We're back. It's Reese on the radio with Rozan on the radio. We're hanging out on a ladies' night, Friday night. We'll get to your calls in a little bit after this because Rozan and I this morning were watching television, and of course, the football season is beginning, and college football usually begins first, the first Saturday before, of course, the first Sunday. And they were going over some of the money that some of the quarterbacks were making. And Rozan sat next to me as we watched this, and she was absolutely outraged at the amount of money that was going to these kids. Now, mind you, we had plenty of years of debate about this over and over again. And I didn't want to reduce it to this is a mom with a kid who's about to go to college. I'm sorry, I did. I didn't want to, but I did. Versus a dad who's got sons who would love them to play college ball and have probably had plenty of discussions about how much money college football makes and how much revenue is pulled in over kids' likeness in the sport. Plenty of, guys who have gone on in the NFL would be great. These kids were stars before they ever reached the NFL, and the student body, or at least the athletic department in the schools, pulls in billions of dollars doing this, not to mention the outside donations that they get. And now that has been resolved, and not resolved, but somewhat resolved. So I'm looking at this list just to tick Rozan off. Let's go with the top 10 quarterbacks in college and the money they'll be making. So I know none of these people, but I know that when I say the money, you're going to be outraged. Let's start with number 10, Josh Hoover at TCU. It looks like, according to this, he's in line to make $1.75 million this year. Next up is, who's this other person? Lenoris Sellers of South Carolina. He looks like he's going to make $1.8 million. Avery Johnson, he is of Kansas State. His numbers look like, let me see what the number, about $2 million. Diego Pavia of Vanderbilt. His numbers look like also $2 million. John Mateer of Oklahoma. He'll make $3 million. Drew Alter of Penn State. These are all, again, very, very, high-ranking schools. That young man is going to pull in another $3 million. Dylan Royala of Nebraska. Looks like he'll bring in $3 million plus some other stuff. Carson Beck of Miami will bring in $3.2 million. Bryce Underwood of Michigan. He's going to get also $3 million with some other stuff that I think is coming in with that. Darian Mensah of Duke. Looks like he's got, what's his number? $4 million over the next 2 seasons and $5 million per year with incentives thereafter. And I don't think, is that the number one? Is that the last one we had there? Yeah, number one is so you saw those numbers and you were like, hell no.
You're giving high school kids. I mean, literally
They're college kids.
Barely. They probably still have mommy wash their underwear. Okay. You are giving these children large quantities of money.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, they should be focused on education. They're going to, and I know you're like, well, they have to maintain a GPA. We went to one meeting at the boys' high school with their football team, and they were doing anything and everything in their possible to ensure that those guys passed. Giving them tutors, spending extra time to retake the test, more options to retake the test, more one-on-one with the teacher. I mean, if you can do anything and everything to pad the grading, if you will, for these students, sure, go ahead. But what you're failing to appreciate, these men at some point are going to go off into the world and be responsible for other things.
Yeah, I'm the way I look at it, and this is where you and I are having this disagreement, because you're saying they're getting all of this very protective care with tutors and people who are going to help them through their academic lives in college. Well, I don't know why your mic is. You have to move that wire or someone. There you go. Go ahead.
All right, let's.
Well, let me finish my point before you cut me off.
I just want to say air quotes around the help.
Okay, but let's just assume that they're getting tutors who are going to get them through their daily lives in college. Let's assume they're good actors here. Okay? You want to go look down that road.
You're making a lot of assumptions
Okay,
here.
well, I think it's a fair assumption.
About teenage boys.
So anyway, so they get the tutelage that they need in order to maintain a good GPA. They're getting an education. This should be afforded to them because, one, they provide a service to the school, being star athletes, right? Being as good as they are in the game, it is transactional, right? I play really, really well, so you take care of me. You make sure I'm fed. You make sure that I'm taken care of on my education-wise, right? You make sure that at the end, should I get injured and I can't play football in the NFL, I don't get drafted in the NFL. At least I have something to fall back on in my career.
Your intelligence, your ability to think, because you utilized your education,
providing them the education to do that,
and then millions of dollars on. You are literally buying students to come to your school. Now, this is the part.
It's an incentive. There's a difference between
you
buying
are
them.
buying children to come to your school to exploit them. Okay,
it's not exploitive.
Sure, it is.
No, it isn't.
Sure, it is. Like I said earlier, if they're going to get endorsement deals from, all these different
car dealerships,
absolutely, like that guy. My name is Sutton, and I just drove up in this car and I bought my PlayStation Switch.
You really think
nobody understood a word that kid said? But gosh darn it, give him $6 million to go to college. He's worth it. He don't know how to speak English, but he got a Switch. I mean, come on.
I'll admit that a lot of the kids that were in those commercials
elevate the standard. Don't just give things away. Don't just throw things at these children. What's wrong with your face?
I just got breaking news.
What happened?
Is this real? Hold on. Sorry. I got to go to it. Folks, forgive me. We interrupt this program because I've got to go to breaking news. And thank you, Michael C., for this. We're going to the headlines. And according to that news, I don't see it yet. Joey, are you there?
Yep.
All right, can you do me a favor? According to reports, Michael is saying in the chat room that Brian Fehey, the officer that got into the back and forth, the spitting incident with Sean Reyes, has formally been arrested as a result of the investigation into the spitting incident. And there's Michael is saying that WFSB is reporting that. I don't see it on their headline anywhere, or at least I don't see it as breaking news, so I'm looking at it now. Apparently, there are, I don't think that there's anything on here as of yet. I'm going to upload their screen to see if we got anything on it. It looks like, Joe, you just send it to me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Rozan, I apologize. Just hold on for me real quick so we can get to this breaking news story, because this is huge, related to a story that we covered here on the show. This is WFSB, and here's the link. Former state police sergeant arrested following an investigation into the viral YouTube confrontation. A former state police sergeant has been arrested following the confrontation in front of his home on July 11th. This regarding, of course, the YouTuber Sean Reyes at police headquarters. They say, of course, what happened in the video, which you all know about that, and I am trying to see if there is an actual charge. He has been charged with disorderly conduct, according to this. He was released on a court-set promise to appear for arraignment at Danielson Superior Court on September 3rd, and Fehey was already placed on unpaid administrative leave while the investigation unfolded, which, of course, where he later retired. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it, and thank you for the heads up on that. So, if I may, and we'll get back to this conversation on the football thing, just so and I'm not saying this to rub it in, folks. I'm not, but I got to be straight with you. I told you the story wasn't over. I told you it couldn't be over. You can't catch a guy on camera spitting in another man's face, right? Then arrest the guy, and then no one want to answer for it. You got Ned Lamont walking by like he's annoyed after everything he said about the police department after George Floyd, not addressing it. Everybody looks like they have egg on their face, and you're going to tell me that Brian Fehey was not going to get arrested? I warned you. When I tell you something's going to happen, you got to listen. You got to listen. It's about optics in this state, and pretty much everywhere. It's about the optics, and they were never going to let that slide. Go ahead, Rozan.
I think this was a terrible charge. Disorderly conduct, that is a clear battery.
They didn't have any choice.
That's a clear battery, though.
Right.
He battered that young man when spit left his body and made contact with the other. That is a battery.
Yeah.
A disorderly conduct, you get that for, arguing in a bar. This guy literally made physical contact with another human being. That is a battery.
Yeah, but it wasn't looking good for the Groton police to behave in that way in the atmosphere we are when it comes to citizens, especially somebody who is,
That's why I'm saying the charge should have been more.
No.
It should have been a more severe charge.
Right, but this is one of those things where, and I know that was why it is. One, you've got to at least appear. You have to appear as if there are consequences for his actions. So when you've been weighing it this long, and it's been weeks, when you have to weigh this.
I think it's been a couple of months now, hasn't it?
Yeah, probably so. Because in fact, this incident took place in June, I believe. I'm almost certain it did. Yeah, July 11th. So it's been a month and a half. But when you're weighing the option of what to do in the situation, and you have an internal affairs situation, the first thing they're thinking about is, one, they hate Sean Reyes, right? This guy's a scum, right? He's always antagonizing the police. But on the other hand,
they have to appear to give a damn.
No, they also had a town hall meeting where citizens came in and cursed out the town council about this and took the side of Sean Reyes. So with that, you don't want that situation to go viral. So what do? You give people, we'll give you your pound of flesh, if you will.
They had to appear to give a damn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to, because again, it's a PR campaign at the end of the day. And so in this case, yes, it's disorderly conduct. I know people are feeling, they only gave a morsel. But this is one of those things where I say, you guys told us they were going to do nothing. I told you that couldn't be the case. Because, again, it was a PR nightmare for the Groton police and for the state. They had to, especially when you were talking about and screaming about so-called police reforms. What also hurt them is that Reyes is Reyes. He's a Hispanic male. And when you got all these people running around talking about how much they care about the underclass and the underserved, what?
Reyes.
I did not call him Reyes.
It's not. It's just Reyes. It's just Reyes.
Whatever. When they're trying to give this appearance that they care about the underdog, and especially those people of color, they're going to look. This goes against everything that they believe or what they tell everybody is important to them. So that's what it is. Yeah, Lori's mentioning the DOD worker who threw the DOJ worker who threw the
sandwich
at the cop. Yeah, but that was, again, imagine this.
That was in D.C., wasn't it?
Exactly. And D.C.
As a white guy, white cop, nobody cares.
No, that's not why. If you look at that grand jury in D.C., that grand jury is never, ever going to indict somebody who did something in protest to Donald Trump. They were never going to put an indictment down. And again, with the whole adage that you can indict a ham sandwich, apparently not a Subway one.
Not a hoagie.
Not a hoagie. But yeah, it's incredible that this happened. But I told you guys, please, I'm going to go back to this, as corny as it may sound. I worked in public relations. I didn't work in public relations where I worked with some, startup rap group. Okay, some guy trying to get his name in a newspaper. Okay, my first day was running interference for Dionne Warwick being caught with marijuana at an airport. That was my first day on the job. And I spun that story for her. So when I tell you that the PR game, I understand it through and through. I'll tell you another story before we go to break. I used a virtually unknown producer and got him on MTV on my first try when it mattered on MTV, on my first try. And do you know how I did it? I mentioned Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey in his press release. You want to know why? Oh, also Aaliyah. Not Aaliyah, the other one, Ashanti. You like her. I mentioned those three women in his press release. You want to know why? Because he was an unknown producer who produced every one of their hit records. And I said, who's the producer who makes Jennifer Lopez, Mariah Carey, and Ashanti look as good as they sound as good as they look? 7 Aurelius. Look him up. It's number 7 Aurelius. I was his publicist. That guy was a virtual unknown. Before you knew it, he was starring in an Ashanti music video, and he was being called by Michael Jackson. I watched him hang up the phone on Michael Jackson 3 times. The guy was a nobody. So I know this game. PR is my game, and they were not going to let this be a PR nightmare for them. They had to do something. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. Let's get into some weather and traffic with Scott Holman and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. There she is. Dionne Warwick.
Oh.
She had 5 joints in her purse. I mean, in her luggage at an airport.
Nowadays, that's recreational use.
She's still sounding great.
Yeah, she's still sounding great. Yeah,
nothing gravelly in that voice.
Absolutely, but you know what? I can guarantee you, she was very mellow in the studio.
Yes. Very Hal David and Burt Bacharach had no problems dealing with her after a few J's. Hey.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. Right for you. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back to our regularly scheduled program. Rozan's in the house. So just before because we only got about 30 seconds, but you know what? We'll wait until we get through these phone calls, and then we'll finish our discussion about college kids getting an education while making millions of dollars. You're okay with them being used in this way?
Not used, no. I just think that it's more important that they focus on what's actually important while they're in school, and that is education. I don't think it's appropriate to buy certain people and ignore others. Honestly, if I had to decide on who's going to make a bigger impact on the world, I'd rather buy $6 million for a neuroscientist or a chemist or, an entire group of people who are making endeavors toward the betterment of the entire world rather than some idiot who's going to play ball for 6 or 7 years.
They're not idiots because they play.
No, you're right. They're not idiots. I apologize. But if I had to choose between an intellectual or an athlete who's going to retire at 40, and that's it. They're done. I went to college.
So
I keep hearing Forrest go, college was the hardest 5 years of my whole life.
See, when I'm sitting up here saying, Rozan was hating on these NFL players, on these college football players, she goes, I'm not hating, and then you do that.
Well, listen.
I gotta go to weather and traffic.
Of course you do.
I just do. I have to go to weather and traffic. I just do.
Convenient.
Scott Holman is in for Bob Larson. Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. I don't know what I'm gonna do here, Mark. Back to you. Just get people home, man. I'm out.
You got it.
We are back. It's Reese on the radio with Rozan on the radio. Let you know what, since we're here, might as well get to the phones because people have been on hold. White Mike is back. What's going on, sir?
Oh, man, gosh, so much has gone on since I've been sitting on hold for an hour and a half.
I'm sorry, but I've got stuff I got to do.
So I'm going to start out with a little quote for just you and me, a little inside baseball.
Okay.
If you want to know who rules you, find out who it is you can't criticize.
Ooh, like that. I like that.
I criticize everyone.
Well, Reese knows what this is about.
Right.
So let's talk about professional sports and college sports. You realize there are only 2 professional sports that are of the big 4 that allow athletes to go right from college to professional sports, right? What are those 2?
Football and basketball.
Baseball and basketball.
Nope. Yes, Rozan's right. You're 180 degrees opposite.
Really?
You can go from high school to play AAA baseball and then go to the pros, and you can go from high school to play pro hockey. Why is this? I'll tell you why. It's because college baseball and hockey don't make any money.
Ooh. Okay.
And college basketball and college football are huge.
Okay.
There's realistically no possibility for someone to go from high school to the NFL. You need 4 years to grow into your man body and get your skills.
Right.
But plenty of guys are capable of going from the NBA, from high school to the NBA. Moses Malone,
Kobe Bryant.
LeBron, right?
Yeah.
So the NBA, after the NCAA lost LeBron, they passed a rule that said you have to do a year in the G League or a year in college to play pro basketball.
Okay.
Because the NCAA didn't want to lose the money
Gotcha.
in losing marquee athletes.
Sure.
So why did Cooper Flagg have to waste a year of his career going to Duke? That guy could have gone to the pros right away. It's money. Now, I don't have a problem with these guys making money in college. NIL was supposed to be a way for these guys to get a piece of the pie. This all came about because Ed O'Bannon sued Electronic Arts when they were using his image in an NCAA basketball game.
That is correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So these guys should be allowed to profit from their image. I'm 100% behind
Absolutely.
that. I do not think that colleges should be paying players to play.
Boom.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's investigate that. Now, you said if they use their likeness on jerseys or in video games, anything outside of the game, endorsement-wise, right? If they should be able to profit from that because, again, those entities are not in the school. You think that it's a fair trade with the school because they're paying for their tuition costs, usually their housing and their eating, and that should be a fair trade.
Well, look, bro. I live in the South. I've grown up in SEC culture.
Yes, but I knew you were going to say that.
When you look at the size of the stadiums that these football players play in,
sure,
there's billions of dollars being made.
Right.
Ben Hill Griffin Stadium in Gainesville is massive. It's about as big as Raymond James in Tampa. Michigan Stadium holds 100,000 people.
Wow.
They make billions of dollars off these kids.
Right.
I have no problem with them getting endorsements and selling their image. It's different for girl athletes. Like, Livy Dunn, who's a gymnast from LSU, made a fortune.
Yeah.
But basically she made a fortune because she's hot.
Right.
Because nobody gives a crap about college gymnastics.
Right. It's true. They don't. Not unless they're hot. Not unless they're hot.
Yeah, let these kids make their money. And if these boys, these young men can make money endorsing local car dealers or Gatorade or Zaxby's or Raising Cane's, fine. I'm fine with it. I think it's BS that these football players have to waste 4 years of their lives in college football when they should be given a shot to go to the pros.
But let me ask you this. I don't think you've given me a reason yet. Why do you think that the school shouldn't pay them? Do you think there's a conflict in there, or
because they're amateur athletes?
Okay,
they're not professional athletes.
And do you think that there is do you think that because there's money involved, that there is a likelihood that they, in other words, they'll make them sign a contract that makes it difficult for said player to transfer should they feel like they're benched or something like that? It keeps them.
I absolutely believe that the transfer portal should be eliminated. It's going to destroy college football, period. These guys, when they sign their contract, they should be forced to stay for 4 years, or there should be such a penalty for them trying to leave that it screws their career. You should have to wait 2 years if you're going to transfer. Good luck playing college football as a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
but it's bogus. I mean, the colleges invest a lot of money in these guys, and they're trying to build legacies. It's such a complicated issue because how could you have paid Tim Tebow enough to be a college quarterback at UF?
Yeah.
What's the number?
Yeah.
$100 million? How much did he make for the school?
He did. It's so true because Tim Tebow he was the franchise. I mean, he was the guy was on the cover of GQ behind his college ball play. Like this guy was the thing.
Dude, he was amazing. Tim Tebow is the greatest college quarterback ever to play college football.
Yep.
It's inarguable. He's the best. You couldn't have paid him enough.
Yeah.
So if he'd been allowed to do endorsements, Tebow could. He's not hurt now. Tim Tebow's rich. He's married to like Miss Universe or something.
Yeah.
But
I'm thinking about this, Mike. I'm thinking about this on this level. Think about the college player who may have been a part of a program that was stellar and great, and because of whatever reason it may be, he gets drafted 6th round. There's a likelihood that this guy never, ever reaches everybody can't be 6th round Tom Brady.
But that's the price you pay for deciding to make that's the price you pay for deciding to go into athletics, right? That would be like saying, what if a choir, a church choir girl goes and, goes to a producer and makes a whole album. Should she be paid while she's in the choir? Because
No, I'm talking about if he's doing great in college.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Should she be paid while she's singing in the church choir, collegiate college choir, okay, or a professional band athlete or a college band, person?
Performance.
Should they be paid high dollar value because when they go out into the real world, they might not make that same money?
If she's bringing in the bucks.
But they might not make that same money. That's a ridiculous argument.
no.
You are making a decision to go into something like athletics knowing that there's only so many slots available in the NFL. Not everybody who plays college ball is going to get drafted into the NFL.
That's true.
It's a risk you take.
Hold on. Go ahead.
The big thing you're missing here is college choir makes no money. Nobody's making money.
That was a hypothetical. It was a total hypothetical.
The reason that these guys need to be allowed to capitalize on their earning potential is because somebody's making money off of them.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm all for endorsements.
Every athlete is one bad tackle away from a career ending.
Every single one of them.
But that's the angle I'm coming from.
Then that's why they focus on their education and not solely on athletics.
And if we're going to be realistic, most of these guys who are playing college football have no business being in college academics.
True.
I've said before, I would love to see a spelling bee at halftime of NCAA football and basketball games.
Simple algebra problem.
How it goes.
Right.
Just a spelling bee. It's like I want to see the D-back spell phlebotomist. It's not going to happen.
There you go.
All right. Well, finally.
And that's exactly the reason why I don't think you should be paying. You should be buying college students. They're not there for the purpose of the school. The school's purpose for existing is not college football. The school's purpose for existence is to educate students.
Well, the college sports programs.
Then there should be a separate entity for college football.
Well, NCAA football and basketball pay for all the BS sports that are also
That's
under
true.
the umbrella.
They are all under the umbrella. Exactly. Like volleyball exists
like
at Duke.
Rowing and
volleyball exists at Duke because of Duke basketball. You know what I mean? It's like
so it's money, and if the schools are making money off them, these guys should have a chance to make money off their image because God forbid, something happens and they blow their knee out. At least they got a little money out of their time.
Indeed.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I agree with endorsements. I just don't think that the school should be out there buying children to exploit their...
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And somebody like Arch Manning's earning every penny he's getting in endorsements.
It's
even before
$12
he's
million.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for Arch. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I'm going to have to mark this day on the calendar. What is that? August 29th. White Mike and Rozan agree with one another. God bless you, Mike. I appreciate you, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, bye.
You got it. Look, I'm just saying, look, this was something that I wrestled with for a long time because for years we were having this conversation about whether or not football players in college should get money. And every time they brought it up, I was going, I see this, but then I see that. And I came around to the idea, thinking about it for a long time, saying to myself that not that I was against the school making a boatload of money through it, not just through ad dollars and television, because, they sign these contracts with like NBC or ABC, wherever the games are going to be played, ESPN, of course, and the like. But as those things were growing to FS1 and all these other, networks, that I saw a great money opportunity there in these kids. I kept thinking about them in the sense of about 5% of all these football players ever make it to the pros.
Right.
And out of them, not all of them become stars. Some of them just become practice players.
Right. So here's where my thought process goes on this, right? Instead of giving the students these millions of dollars to show up to play football, all that money that they're making off of these student athletes should be reinvested, one, into the community, right? Because if you look at most of the communities around a lot of these universities, straight garbage, right? But the other thing is, instead of collecting government endorsements for research, why not take some of that college, that money that the athletics department is getting and reinvest it into the study of whatever, cancer, baby farts, whatever it is that they're researching. The school should hold a bigger responsibility for funding those things, especially if they're collecting millions of dollars off their athletics program and leave taxpayer dollars to other things like, I don't know, building bridges and fixing roads and, homeless veterans. There are better ways to spend government money than, they're over here paying a student $6 million to show up to play football. Meanwhile, they're also getting $450 million from the government to research rat poo.
I just think that when it comes to these kids putting their limb on the line, just something about it that just says that I think they should at least
They should be allowed to get endorsements.
Well,
but the school should not be buying
But
them.
remember, a car dealership's not going to give an endorsement to an offensive lineman at Mizzou. It's just
he decided to go into athletic. When the boy decided to play football, what was my position on that?
He's going to get injured.
No, my position was no, you are not an athlete. I did not raise an athlete. Why did I not raise an athlete? Because one shot knee, too many hits to the kidney, any physical injury, and you're done. You no longer have a future in that realm. However, if I focus on your brain, unless you do something really stupid like driving down the highway at 92 miles an hour at midnight and end up in a car crash, your brain is going to be intact and you will be capable of many, many things.
You are such a mom in this, in the sense of, look, maybe, again,
I'm thinking about the long-term sustainability of this young man. I have to have something to look forward to when it's time to retire.
Okay, can I retake my show a little bit now?
Reclaiming your time. Take your time. Reclaim your time.
We already got to go into a commercial break. You won't give me a word edgewise on this subject.
3 hours before I got here. I don't know what you're griping about.
Well, on this subject, I'd like to say a little something. Now, I'm not going to take it now. I'm going to do it in the next break. And they're going to cut your mic off so I can say it without interruption. No, because you're going to interrupt me.
I'll talk over you. They'll hear me on your mic.
Matt is saying you guys are missing the whole argument. The reason you don't pay college athletes, it's because schools will become or have the have and have not, and it will no longer be competitive schools that don't have tons of money.
Yeah, I think schools are going to lose a lot of money buying athletes.
I think that there are going to. Yes, there are. But you know what? That's like saying, am I going to play for the Green Bay Packers instead of the Dallas Cowboys? Because the Dallas Cowboys are worth more money.
No, it's not. Because if you make it to that level, then you've earned it. But until then, shut up and take your lumps.
And now we go to weather and traffic with Scott Homan. In for Bob Larson and Mark Christophers at the BPS Traffic Center. Maybe I'll get my show when we return. Hey, Mark.
You guys are going to have a little tug of war over the microphone?
Yeah, apparently. It's like I'm regretting putting her on here today.
Wow.
Sounds like a sporting event. Sounds like you guys could get some endorsement money out of this if it works out.
Who's buying me?
You're heading into our...
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
My wife had to go get a blanket and a sweater because apparently it's cold in my studio.
71 degrees in here. It's
Yeah.
cold.
Oh, it's amazing how that works. We got more news and more views coming up. Rozan and I will, of course, be sharing those stories with you. If you haven't heard, programming note, we will not be here on Monday because, of course, it's Labor Day. And a lot of people will be, doing their thing. Usually I would be putting the labor in Labor Day, but we don't do that anymore, apparently. So I'm saddened. My wife, of course, is gleeful because I get to put stuff in boxes as we prepare for our move.
Yeah, but what's the next day?
What do you mean the next day?
Wow.
After Labor Day?
I'm going to fight you.
Well, I know it's garbage day. And,
It's
there's
about to be
that.
garbage day.
It's Roseanne's birthday. Like, I don't know. By the way, my mom told me that when I was 16.
What?
I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, you know what today is? She goes, garbage day, right?
Yeah. I thought you were just excited I get my haircut that day, too.
You would. Well, then you need a day off to pack. No, I don't need a day off. My wife is making me take the day off. In fact, I'll be packing all weekend because, we're not taking everything. We have to take the stuff that we need, and a lot of stuff we're leaving. We own the house, so we're not, in essence, we're not taking everything we have. We do have to store some stuff as we got someone moving in to take the house for a year. So they'll be renting the house for a year while we are in Connecticut. And I've got so much stuff to do there. You know what? I totally forgot about this. Since you're here, Joey. Joey, do we have a direct Ethernet line in the studio? Like if I brought in my PC, I could connect to Ethernet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was wondering whether or not that was possible. Okay, so that means that I'll be able to record inside Studio Live through the streaming device that I have, because that's the only thing I'm looking for. Set up the lights, too. I could say, well, I'll have to set up the lights.
I got a whole plan when you come to talk to you about that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm excited to hear that.
So am I. I'm excited to do it with
you. No doubt. Okay. All right. Look at that. Joey's thinking way ahead of me. See, Joey's meant for this. He's been doing it for too long. This is the guy that you need in your corner. That's the reason why I love WTIC. I'm just telling you. It's the reason why. These guys are always thinking in the same wavelength as yours truly.
Well, I got a low jack on my ankle. I'm not allowed to leave a 200-mile radius.
This is true. I don't know how you get out of state. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic. Scott Homan is in for Bob Larson and Mark Christopher. He's at the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark. We are back. Reese on the radio, about to get up out of here. Rozan on the radio, hanging out as well. So, Rozan, I've got some bad news for you. It's not news that you would really care about, but you have used this particular company's services recently. In fact, the last time we used them, let's just say I flew for a longer time than I expected to.
The yellow one.
Oh, yes, the yellow one.
We'll just call it the yellow one.
Yeah, well, no, it's okay because it's in the news. It turns out for the second time this year, Spirit Aviation's Holdings has filed for bankruptcy.
That
today.
explains a lot. Explains a lot.
They're saying for the second time in less than a year, the parent company of the ultra-low-cost Spirit Airlines tries to shore up its balance sheet amid challenges for budget air carriers. Now, you said something that was interesting, and Joey, I don't know if you know this, because, you sometimes take the family out, and about. You go, in fact, you come out to Texas.
Yep.
So, according to Rozan, that there is an even cheaper airline that we could fly out of Dallas into Tweed.
Dallas or Houston.
It's a Velo.
Okay. See, I have to go into Austin. Well, I don't have to go into Austin, but it's usually where we end up.
You end up right. You go right. Austin is literally what?
It's an hour and a half north of us.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half north of us, right? But that's for you. That's roughly about 30 minutes, right, out of where you're headed, Joey. Right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's a short ride. But you can go out of Dallas, which for you would be about 3 hours. For us would be about 4. But we could drive out, fly out of Dallas, and go into Tweed. and then just rent a car from there and just go up. And you said the pricing is Rozan, is really, really cheap. What was the last price?
It was $50, but
oh, wait a minute. Michael says that they fly into Bradley now.
They do fly into Bradley, but you have to use like only certain. So Bradley, if we flew from Houston to DC,
right,
then we could pick up DC to Bradley.
Okay.
But it's not a direct flight. So
Okay. I don't mind them I don't mind a connector.
Well,
there's not even much direct from Bradley to Austin. We've never been able to go direct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the tickets that I saw were $50. However,
yes,
you have to pay for your seat inside the airplane, which
That's
is
right.
a different cost,
Right.
and then you pay for your bag, and then you pay for your checked bag. So ultimately, you end up paying the same price. So
the
it's
same price as you would with Spirit.
pretty much any other airline.
Really?
It's like a Columbia House subscription setup.
It is.
We're going to get you this one time.
Right, which I didn't understand that you could do that as an airline. Right, you can pay for the flight.
A la carte flying.
Yeah, it's like you have to pay for the flight, but then you have to pay for a seat. So I'm like,
Right.
what if I pay for the flight and I don't buy a seat? Do I stand like I'm riding a bus? Like, is there
a handrail?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm taking the subway. Is it that kind of deal?
Well, the regular seats are like $14 or $15, and then a seat that you would need is
Right.
closer to like $55.
Now that's not bad if the flight is $50 and then the seat is $50.
Well,
That's still $100.
That was at the beginning of the summer. I just looked not too long ago, and it's like $130 a flight now, which still isn't bad.
Right.
But nickel and diming it for the two of us to fly, it's going to end up being the same price.
But I look at the
So-
nickel because first of all, round trip on any other regular major airline per person, we're looking upwards of $700, right?
Mhm.
Generally.
Yeah.
So
I prefer Southwest. That's my preferred airline.
Since I've known you, you love them.
Mm-hmm.
But even they're sort of losing a lot of their luster, if you will.
We had good luck with American up until last adventure.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I think every airline is sort of like the summer has been rough on airline travel.
Are they blaming Trump yet? I'm
No,
sure it's
well,
his
they
fault.
did. They did in the
Okay.
beginning, but it's really been rad. Like every year after year, as more people travel, and I think it has everything to do with every airline lowering rates because they need more customers, and in doing so, there's a degree of quality that you lose.
You do get what you pay for.
Yeah, you do get what you pay
Well,
for.
it's not like that. It's the quality of people now that have access to these cheap flights. And when you reduce the quality of personnel that you introduce to an area, then everybody else has to suffer.
I'm going to go down the road. See, you just said this, and now I have to go down the road.
You can talk about the Carnival Cruise Lines.
No. I'm going to. There is something that has been irking me for a while, and I'm doing it now because I can. Maybe by Monday, or Tuesday, people will have forgotten that I've said it.
They won't.
Okay? They probably won't. Okay, what is with the hiring of people with neck tattoos and face tattoos? Like, I wouldn't hire that person to work at I had one guy, Francisco. Remember, was it Francisco or Fernando? The last guy who we
knows?
had. He was a complete
He was here
lunatic.
for 5 minutes.
He was,
Who
he worked
knows?
for me for 5 minutes, and he had a little teardrop tattoo on his eye. And when he first, I say auditioned for the job, but he first applied for the job, and I interviewed him. The first thing I did was look at that. Like, I'm looking at him, and I couldn't stop looking at the teardrop. So I say to him, and he realized that I was staring at it. He goes, yo, no, that don't mean what it means. You know what I'm saying?
Does.
I'm like, yeah. I was like, I know what it means. I'm like, and I'm not a banger. So it's like, what's that about? He's like, no, it's not. It's not about that. I'm like, okay, I couldn't believe the guy. But it had a hard time.
So he's a poser.
Yeah, that would be even more detrimental.
Egregious.
Yeah, egregious, right. But I was concerned about hiring. Well, he turned out to be exactly what I thought he was, a dud. Carl was the first person to call that he was going to be awful, and he was. He wasn't showing up to work. It was a whole mess.
It's always late.
Always late, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we were at his door, and he was still late.
Yeah,
Like, how are you late when we're picking you up? Yeah.
It was pretty bad. But we've got a Walmart near us, and the picture of the general manager at the Walmart, guys, has the guy with those two big gauges in his ears, the big giant holes, and a neck tattoo. Now, he looks pleasant enough if that stuff wasn't all over his face, but the guy looked like a graffitied up building in the Bronx. I mean, he just didn't look the part. And I'm going, that's the general manager? What guy got turned away? Like, what guy lost the opportunity?
That's DEI for you.
I don't think that's DEI.
Everywhere we go now, everybody's face is all pierced. There's holes everywhere, and hair is, 14 different colors. You got, I can't say that except
folds.
Hanging out of sports bras and spandex.
But I'm noticing that in the airlines. When I was going,
I think it's intriguing to have 42 feet of hair braided in, and you're flopping it around, hitting customers with your hair, and God forbid that we had a crash landing, your hair is going to get caught in the slide, and you're going to hold up traffic because now you're just dangling by your scalp.
Nonetheless, goodness gracious. My point being that there is just this
fingernails out to there
standard of employment that I just don't understand. That Walmart thing was the one that really got me because I'm saying, I would never ask that guy for help.
Well, I want you to, honestly, all jokes aside, I want you to consider where we live, right?
Yeah.
The side of town that we're on.
Okay.
Where
did you have me move?
This is where I went to high school. I don't remember it being this way. In my defense, I wasn't allowed to leave the house either, so there's that.
Okay.
And I did have a full-time job while I was in high school, so work, school, home. That's all I did. Mm-hmm. But people with a skill set and education, like people that are well fitted to do these jobs, are not coming to this side of town.
I understand it.
They're just not.
I'm not going to
you
lie.
Kind of have to pick.
Our neighborhood is very middle class.
Our pocket.
Yeah, our pocket in
Right.
the neighborhood is very middle class. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, when we started going into the neighborhood where
and
we
we're
live,
the only ones speaking English, and people look at us like we have three heads because we don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Right.
every person I met the first year we were here sounded like they used the word arriba in every sentence. It's just that.
We are, so people like to say, Texas is, cowboys and horses. No, we are in northern Mexico.
Yeah,
we are norteños. We are.
It's real Mexico.
It's
here.
very, the houses, the quality. If you've ever seen, if you've ever seen houses in Tijuana or Chihuahua, anywhere in northern Mexico, you will see the same quality and standard of living here.
Everybody here don't need no stinking badges. Everybody here.
But the food is amazing.
It's all right. It's okay.
It's not what it used to be. They've really kind of it's become very bland.
I'll tell you the part
tourists do show up to this side of town for the mission, so the food is really kind of
it's okay.
Caucasianized.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, her father took us to a genuine Spanish restaurant. I think it was when we first met, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, second time we had met, but the first time we had dinner together.
Yes, yeah.
And he took us to this place, and we had a meal called a dish called paella.
Paella.
Yeah, paella. And I'm saying it like an average person, not like a Spanish person. Okay, so it's paella, but it's not. Paella is not Mexican by any stretch of the imagination. Apparently, it is South American.
It's Spanish.
Oh, it's Spanish, whatever it is. Well, I had this food. Have you ever had paella, by the way, Joey?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, let me tell you what my biggest problem with this food is. Okay.
It had flavor.
I'm holding on to what I think is Reese's problem with this food.
Okay, no, you know what? You know what? You tell me, and then I'll tell you what the problem is. Go ahead. What do you think my problem was?
My guess is you're like, why is all this in one plate?
Yes, that was one.
What the heck is going on here?
Yes, exactly. It was like some Spanish gumbo, and the worst part about it was, and this is the worst part about it, is no one should sweat while eating food, okay? No one. I shouldn't feel like I'm lifting weights. Not that it was heavy, but it was just hot and spicy. And I was sweating in places that you normally don't do.
So it had flavor.
No, it just was hot. And
Lengua de la gringa. That is your Spanish name.
And I'm looking at my father-in-law, and he's like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know. Is it supposed to feel like this? Like, am I supposed to feel the food? Why does it feel like this? And he goes, oh, you're just not used to the flavor. I'm like, this isn't about flavor. This like every part of the food. Like I wasn't exerting myself. I was in there, and every spoonful I took, a forkful of food, I was exuding. It was like sweating. I'm moving my clothes away from my body. It felt like I was losing weight, like I was jazzercising or something at this restaurant.
You are so delicate. It's adorable.
I don't mind the heat if it's got the flavor to go with it.
Yeah,
don't make it just hot for stupidity's sake. Give me the flavor.
No, it was delicious. It was really. Let me put it to you like this. One time, like shortly after we started dating, I made Reese arroz con pollo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just chicken and rice.
That's
nothing, obnoxious. Arroz con pollo. I seasoned it the way you season arroz con pollo. Nothing spicy. It was comino, oregano, garlic, salt, pepper, a bay leaf. That's it.
Okay.
You get your first bite, and like, it's so spicy. And like, there's
Pass the
no
ketchup.
There was nothing spicy in it. It's got a lot of spice in it. No, it has flavor.
There's nothing like. Does his tolerance end at like paprika?
Yeah.
No, his tolerance ends at salt.
That's
Salt
it's
and
true.
sugar. Butter is a huge thing in our house. Like, ooh, buttery.
Yeah, I don't like, first of all, I don't like a lot of butter. Salt is okay, but anything that is considered a spice, like outside of pepper, is probably taboo.
And even that.
And even that's too much.
Lengua de la gringa. That's your that is your Spanish name.
That's okay. It's okay.
Well, you can invite me over for dinner, Rozan, when you guys are here.
Absolutely.
I'm down.
Yeah.
And Reese, you can go.
Have some pizza, real American food.
Well, you can go. I'll make you a bowl of white rice and put some butter on it for you.
Hey, that's
Buttered
okay.
ravioli.
Boil you a chicken breast. A plate of white. Some cauliflower for a vegetable.
Hey, I'm cool. You're speaking my language. You think you're insulting me.
You're disgusting.
It's not.
I don't know how this happened. How did this happen?
I didn't care. That's why it happened.
I like hot sauce on my pizza, and you're like, I'll just take some broccoli.
Yes, I'm okay with all of that. Look,
so weird.
It's
I'm
not
guessing
weird.
you dip it in ranch.
No, I don't do. First of all, I don't do ranch. That's way too much.
He doesn't do any. He doesn't dip. He's not a dipper.
Yeah, I don't do the dipping thing. Yeah, it's just like no.
It's plain. A gray, pasty, like liquidy substance. If that could provide him all of his sustenance, he would walk around with an IV of that. Like he does not require food.
I don't need flavor. That's all food is supposed to do. Fill your belly to sustain you. I don't need all the fancy stuff.
Don't know what you're missing out on.
Not really. See, that's my thing. I'd have no fear of missing out. When everybody else is raving about what food tastes like, I go, whatever.
So you married a Latina.
Yeah, exactly.
Real smart.
I thought you were Jewish. In my defense, I misraced you.
Wow.
That's what I did.
Wow.
We got to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning. So plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. He is Joey Burgoyne, and she is Rozan on the radio. Say goodnight, Rozan.
Good night, Roseanne.
We will see you next time. We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a wonderful Labor Day Monday. I love you
birthday,
guys.
Roseanne.
Be good to each other. Stay safe. Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic
Wait a
Center.
minute. You're actually taking a day off?
They're making me. They're making me. There's only 1 hour in the.
News.
It's only 1 hour in the
You
day.
got the Red Sox. Yeah.
So
okay.
I said, okay, I'll take the day off.
Big news. Reese, you and I have similar tastes in food. Although you gotta bring it up on the butter side. Butter's an absolute must in food.
Okay, all right. I'll get there one day.
Yeah, you and I are plain Jane eaters, though.
Love it. I knew there was another person out there.
Yeah.
White toast
you
and
and I.
applesauce.
Applesauce on your pork chops with shake and bake on the pork chops.
Exactly.
That's me. Hey, have a great weekend, guys.
You're clear.
West Bend before you got
Thank
the
you,
lead.
Joey. I appreciate you, man.
We'll catch you guys later.
You got it.
Sluggish
Ciao.
as you move between 44 and 46 Cissna Avenue. 91 southbound delays 33 down to 32 A and B. Again.
Oh, God. Matteo says, I'm a plate of white, and I love spices. Oh, God. Bushwhacker says, I agree with Reese. I'm Polish by descent. No spices and me don't get along. They don't. I'm with you. Bro, you got to get, what does he say? You got to get, wait a minute. You got the tongue of a Brit, Promise says. I think I do.
Definitely.
Cauliflower with melted cheese is terrific.
Reese
John
doesn't
Beckman
do
says.
cheese.
Yeah, I don't do cheese.
Yeah.
I'm
Too much flavor. It's too complex for his palate.
John asks, has Rozan ever yelled at you in Spanish? Only once, just for effect. Michael Casey says you got him rolling on the floor. Yeah, she would. What's a pierced nose? Okay. And what's with the pierced nose? I know everyone's got one. It's really, really bad. Also, I wanted to read on here. Somebody wrote this before. I think it was Michael. Where's Michael here? I saw him in here earlier. He said something nice about you, Rozan. He told me to shut up because you have a great voice. It told me to be quiet. So I guess I just let you run the show.
No, it's too much work.
Yeah, no, exactly. All right, well, we're going to get up out of here. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. And we will see you guys on Tuesday. I was about to say Monday. We'll see you on Tuesday.
My birthday.
On Rozan's birthday. But I'll do something for you on Monday, okay? We have Monday off, and we'll do something that day. All right, we'll do it into midnight so we can celebrate your birthday. Why are you rolling your eyes? Your birthday, does the celebration have to be on your actual day?
Well, I wanted yeah, but whatever. It's fine. It's fine. 1 year we're going to have my birthday on my birthday without a shooting. that will be a thing 1 year.
Got to have high hopes, don't we?
aim low and you're never disappointed.
Aim low. It's like average Joe's in dodgeball. What's our motto? Aim low. All right. I love you.
I love you.
See you guys on Tuesday, as I said. All right. Be good to each other.
Bye.
Stay out of trouble.